All right, so we've got a shorter list for the open mic. So we're going to do 6 minutes. And I will be timing you. So I forgot my little thing. Gee, that would be a problem.
That's my newest publisher on the 4th of July.
Charles. I am Charles. Is there anybody who did not sign up that would like to sign up?
Trap rock.
All right. All right. Okay, so 6 minutes. I'm going to start us off. We've got 7 on the list, and then at the end we'll bring up our features again. Okay, I'm going to start out with a couple here. Kind of new stuff I haven't read before. Beside the homeless body. The coroner's report could list no cause, as if he simply held his breath and died. How bravely in the cold it shivered there, the mangy little dog tied at his side. In the news the story made some cry. An agency that rescued dogs was dialed. All the caring people dried their eyes. The coroner's report was quickly filed. Someone walks the dog on Sundays now. It wears a little sweater and a leash by the brambles where the homeless sleep. Cars pass their way to church in peace. Burdened by the birth. Mother, was I born upon a wave, or did you place me so small, sleeping by the sea? Did you listen for me more or less, when the gray, gray gulls cried far and wide? What does a mother know when the firstborn breaks her on the beach? How far inward does her ocean reach? And the water she must carry on her hip. Mother, how far out into the waves did you wade amidst the storms in that sleepless parade of days, when you rose to answer cries of desperate birds inside the endless rain? Who held your hand to spare you from the pain? How much of it remains? Blue Mountain. 5 haikus that hopefully are a poem in among themselves. Blue Mountain. Adirondack chairs, paint peeling under snow coats, remembering spring. Cedar strip canoes, asleep beneath iced canvas, dreaming of summer. Frozen winter lake, thick ice pushed up shorelines, shrugging its shoulders. Don't ask dark water to share secret misgivings. Too deep the dead past. Yesterday's brook trout, childhood's mysterious friend, killed by acid rain. And the last one to get us going. Someone is writing a poem. It is a secret poem made from forgotten sounds. It waits poised, suspecting it may never be finished. Or it may only have one verse, a long line, a secret word repeated. Someone is writing a poem. It is a single poem, made from forgotten sounds. If you hear it, you may think it is new. Tell me if you remember how it starts. Let's hear yours, Bill.
Thanks to Charles and to Stephen for hosting us. These two poems are in a book that's for sale. The first one is called In the Doghouse, dictated to me by one of our pet dogs, Marco. It ain't so easy being a dog. Let me tell you how tough it can be. A mastiff I knew weighed 135, a tenth of that is me. So I carry no weight in a pack of dogs. I'm mostly ignored in a bunch. If I tick off a wolfhound or mastiff, it could gobble me down for lunch. Speaking of packs, the dog park's a kick. There's one pen for tykes like me, and the pen next door is for black labs and more, who I chase down the fence for a spree. I bark real loud to stir up the crowd, and sometimes this causes a riot. J. Mac has a fit and tells me to sit while she leashes me up and says, quiet. On the way home, I let my thoughts roam. Am I guilty to just do what I do? I am what I'm bred, just a crossbreed instead of a registered, more noble brew. Cross a lab with a poodle, you get labradoodle, a duck-chasing dude with a perm, and Chihuahua and Beagle yields Bowawa or Cheagle, or some other impossible term. With genes that are mixed who knows how, I'm confused about who to be. I love sniffing the bushes and chasing a squirrel and assume that's the beagle in me. I love running fast when I get off my leash, but the rain I fully disdain. At night I dive under a blanket for cover. Chihuahua genes program that game. Another ordeal that's quite scary and real is having my toenails all clipped. Scares me to death. I pant for my breath, while by lab techs I'm straitjacket gripped. A policeman's lot is not a happy one. A dog's life ain't much better. But all in all, it could be much worse. I could be an Irish setter. But I am much smaller, just right in size to curl up in nice warm laps and dream of things only I will know while taking my afternoon naps. As Popeye once said, I am what I am. I have no notion of why I am here, or how long I'll last, or of future or past. So I just live each day with good cheer. Your pal, Marco. This next one was dictated to me by a muse, the muse of Mortuary Mountain, and it was inspired by an event that happened at our cabin at Crescent Lake the day before. He still hears in the quietest dark at AM 2:45 the patter of feet of a creature so sweet, though Minerva is no longer alive. If deceased, you will wonder, of course, how he hears long after her passing, her crossing the floor where she scurried before to seek crumbs to assuage her day's fasting. Peering deep in the depths of his psyche, the answer we sadly can see. Hallucination it's not, nor the tick of the clock, but a sad case of PTSD. From great from great trauma his disorder began, when his dear wife in kitchen stepped back. Her blood-curdling scream repeats in his dream in the nightmares of poor hubby Mac. Breakfast dishes she'd washed at her sink, then stepped back on a rag with her heel. But to her dismay, underneath her foot lay a crushed mouse that no longer could squeal. Why Minerva was up and about in broad daylight roaming around, we'll never know. It just goes to show in a flash one can be heaven-bound. Kind hubby Mac did the honors, whistling taps as he dusted his knees, and rose from the grave of Minerva the brave, saying, "Now may we all rest in peace." But that night peace was not to be. Poor Mac was troubled by dreams. More to the point, he was thrown out of joint by nightmarish PTSD screams. Can there be any moral, you ask, in this mouse slaughter tale of the woods? Well, yes, there can be. If you listen to me, I'll explain the should-nots and the shoulds. In a rowboat when out on the lake, you look back to where you've been rowing. But in a kitchen, my friend, for a happier end, you should always look ahead where you're going.
Thank you, Bill. Next up, Gary Adams. Gary, you still here?
Oh, yeah.
There's the guy.
Yeah, yeah.
Don't
I
run.
need the big chairs, the small chairs.
All right, I hear you.
Yeah. Might end up breaking them or something.
We don't want that.
Yeah.
Burning that.
Cool. This book was published actually 12 years ago, a long time ago, by Trap Rock, nice publisher in town. I'm going to read some pieces from this rather than more recent ones because this is an easy format to read from. And I'll just go until someone tells me to stop. Design and function. The Whaley Dowder Jing was attached to the oak bookcase on my porch by a garden spider egg case last winter. And this spring it was like 2,000 Mongols on the step. So that even though I wanted to read the book, I knew I would have to wait until the frost, when the spiders of the Dowder Jing kill 1,000 flies. Then the mushrooms on the wall want my porch to rejoin nature and my oak bookcase strains to grow again. Things inside other things. Title poem for the book. In my wallet is my identity. It's where my name, age, weight, and all is kept when I'm not using it. We are always in a week, a month, a year, a now. In the spaces between silence and silence, what is. In between daylight is raindrops. In the windows, the houseflies scream and die. Winter bisects summer, intervals of you and me, and the heart goes beat, silence beat, and a rock tossed in a pond throws ripples. I lift my hand above my face and spread my fingers. In between my fingers is night. A little bit lighter and might be pushing the edge of the family-friendly policy here, but I don't think it goes over it. Stats. Because I am a guy, I find great joy in statistics, batting average, rebounds, points per game. In fact, life, when barren of numbers, seems bereft. So I am working to make life into a sport. I have statistically a great marriage. Our making love per night average is almost 4 of 10 nights, a whopping 395. The first 10 months it was over 1.0. Some months recently we have sagged to 0.250. Money buys happiness 9/16 of the time. The price of my dog's loyalty is a respectable $648, and no one has paid that so far. I live my day better than 83% of the fools out there, and the sunset is a 3-point field goal. This is sort of more prosy and imagistic. It might be a prose poem. It's kind of on the borderline of that. The white bark pine. Before the measurement of time came to these mountains, before the term Cascades was used to describe this area, a white bark pine sent little purple cones flying in a fall windstorm. Most of the cones were eaten by ground squirrels, but one nut found its way to a small pocket of dried moss on the side of a basalt boulder in the neighborhood that would later be called 8,000 feet above sea level on Mount Scott. The next spring, a root began to probe, and after a few years, a new white bark found the size of the world to be about 3 inches deep by 2 wide. After a quarter millennium, the tree was 23 inches high, with half the branches dead of winter wind and the others twisted into random, bizarre shapes. The roots were starved for any morsel of humus, so probed with slow strength into fissures in the boulder as far as 20 feet from the meager crown. What happened to this tree I found out when I came to this mountain in 1994. Along the trail was a massive broken off section of the boulder. It was held from rolling further downhill by the bleached bones of a dozen mountain hemlocks. 2 switchbacks down the trail I found the tree. Only one branch was green, the rest resembled driftwood. The rock had split where the roots had pushed furthest into the grain. I imagined the ecstasy where the stone exploded and 500 tons of inertness began to roll downhill. The roots were then exposed to sun and wind. The tree is an individual as much as I am, as much as a lichen fighting for life on bare rock at 10,000 feet. The lichen, the tree, and I show patterns of a species and the variety of individuals. This is a quality called character, which finds itself by dealing with the likes of time, cold, water, dryness, sun, and stone. Had a sequence of ant poems. This one actually got an award nomination. Ants 2, the sequel. A colony of red ants lived in the passenger door of my 1960 Aqua Ford half-ton. Every night the ants would come out to feast on a few drops of Dr. Pepper left in each of the 4 to 6 cans I drank that day. When I left too much Dr. Pepper in a can, dozens of ants would drown, and when I picked up the can and tilted it, the small bodies would pour out. Once I left the key in the ignition and woke to find the truck down the street from where I left it. The neighbor's dog disappeared that night. The ants had used my truck to find something more filling than Dr. Pepper, it seemed. After that, I started seeing ants in my dreams, on my computer screen, and when I stared directly at the sun. The city was starting to look like an ant hive, and I felt like a worker drone. At a party, I saw an ant, one of those large red and black ones, come out of the ear of a man. And the way he smiled, I knew he was an ant too. I think I'll call it then. That thing about Smokey the dog was haunting.
Yeah,
Wasn't it?
it was. Asante, you're up.
So we write a lot of poems too, and some of them become songs. And this is a new one. Empires don't fall in a day. Corrupt corporate government rotten to the core. Military bases across Earth's every shore. Too many people begging in the streets, while a select few gorge at the banquets of wealthy elites. Climate chaos ever rising, while politicians pretend it's not real, callously dismissing all the tears and fears of the litanies of devastation that may never heal. Empires don't fall in a day. Give them a helping push, send them on their way. Millions imprisoned for whom justice does not exist. So many dumbed down who've forgotten how to resist. Infrastructure crumbling, compassion beyond reach. Healthcare a black hole of debt, while bloated military boasts massive fleets, deathly weapons to make the whole world fret. Empires don't fall in a day. Give them a helping push, send them on their way. Wild nature in tatters, extinction a rising tide, society in denial on its death-grip ride. History of patriarchies repeats itself again yet again. Rome, Babylon, Egypt, and the corporate USA. Empires all, they don't fall in a day. But fall they all do, so together give them a push and send them on their way. Empires don't fall in a day. Give them a helping push. Send them on their way. Revolution, evolution, guiding our way with a fresh breath of freedom. Give them a push, send them on their way. Dance in the magic of Earth's wondrous life, free from the shackles of wage slavery and strife. In sharing celebration of each and every day, yes, empires all fall as their karma comes home to play. Grizzly and Raven. In the news today, spring's camas flowers just opened their blue-violet petals to the dawning sun. A mother bear's 2 young cubs caught their first fish. Amorous returning birds completed their nest, ready for eggs. A wandering wolverine spotted a lone cougar stalking a herd of browsing elk. Butterflies emerged, resplendent, from cocoon's magic metamorphosis. Not one human footprint made a mark, flattened a flower, or in any way graced this remote wildland sanctuary, though Grizzly was roused and Raven did mimic a distant roaring airplane filled with traveling humans far above. Indeed, we are not the only ones on this planet. Some of the most beautiful news awaits your reading amidst the wilds of nature. Earth Lodge Moon. Perhaps my house is not of these times, but resides in forever, where all are part of Earth and Earth is of all, where seasons, dreams, and adventures' curiosity invite wanderings to places yet unseen or returning, to places fondly remembered, where walls do not confine, where land has no price, but kinship with all Earth's relations. Perhaps my house is carried within internal realms of forever spirit, earth lodges made of stars, and dreams beyond time. Cool. They said they have laws. They said they had laws to protect the land, laws to ensure the survival of the wild. They said they had knowledge, the knowing of science to guide them. So we spoke their laws, showed them the violated land, showed them the disappearing critters vanishing beneath their laws, their science, vanishing beneath the cold steel of their dollar-chasing machines. Yet they did not wish to hear of their laws or their science, could not hear above the whine of ceaseless saws, above the deafening din of clanking, rumbling, heavy machines, chose not to see through the sawdust the machine-ripped and wind-blown forest soils, could not find the time amidst their dollar-ticking race of clocks, pacing their scheduled maze of work, their TV-numbing monotony of existence. Yet where were their laws when the land was first stolen from native peoples? Why did their laws not prevent the murder, theft, assault, and abuse wreaked from the lands of the Oneida across the continent to the lands of the Makah and beyond? Where were their laws? Where was their science when the forest fell to become the toxic sprawl of industrial prisons? When once clear waters became unsafe to drink? When the howls of the wolf were silenced? When the tracks of the grizzly vanished? When the thunder of the buffalo was stilled? When the once numerous wildlife and boundless fish were pushed into the shadows of existence? Yet still, we spoke of their laws, their science. We walked the havoc they have made and continue to make of that which they fearfully call wild. Again, we showed them the repeated violations of their laws, their science. And now have their laws been invoked to protect the tattered remains of nature? Or has the facade of lies fallen, their actions and deeds of destruction been exempt from their laws of pretense, their industry of science? Now nothing remains between the forest and their saws, between nature and their machines, between freedom and their dollar-cold abyss of extinction, but you. The howl of the wolf, the scream of goshawk, the stealth of wildcats, the cavorts of marten, the dance of your own dreams beckon, while lightning yet streaks ominous skies, roots yet buckle and open the rigidity of concrete and asphalt, to crack the stifling devastation of the bank vault mausoleum of their laws, their science, as the tracks of the wild become the tracks of ourselves.
Next up, Jules.
Thank you. And different subjects here today, and one of the subjects I'd like to explore is fun with dogs. And there's a very funny new movie out, a comedy called The Three Doggeteers, and I'm going to give you some of the jokes from it and a kind of a summary of what it's about. We are the three Doggeteers. We are three little white dogs with this motto: all for one bowl of dog food and one for as much food as you can eat. We are not lazy dogs. We don't just eat and sleep and poop. We protect the castle. Now let me introduce ourselves here. There's Artemis, Barkos, and Wagos. Wagos is a spoiled gal who is famous for getting her beauty rest. She has a ribbon in her hair. She is a great diplomat and can speak all animal languages. She even made a deal with the cat to jump on the kitchen counter and push the dog treats down. Yeah, you see, our masters are always forgetting to feed us. She even made a deal with the cat to share the kitty litter box, and now it's called the multitask box. She's always giving advice like, "Much, you're better than this." Then she says she's a full-bred Maltese with flowing white hair and a fiery temper. Once she yelled at us saying, "I'm tired and I'm hungry and my hair is a mess and I don't have time for jokes and idle chatter. Just show me where I can find a 7-dog-star hotel." Barkos is a dreamer and a believer in mental power by concentration. He says all food comes to him if he stares at it long enough, although he admits that sometimes he may perceive a human hand. Once he accidentally got locked in a dark closet. When he got out, he said he could understand quantum physics for a split second. Mark my words. Artemis is the top dog who does all the planning. He doesn't claim to be a high breed, but a genuine mongrel that is 1/8 desert fox, 1/16 lion because of his sharp talons on his paws, 1/5 peacock, and 1/2 digger mole. Artemis is famous for his wisdom. He says that dogs have 2 great secret powers that can control any human. It is taught by a great master called the Great Houndini. The first one of these great secrets is the power to make a human leave a dog alone in total solitude. Because all you have to do is lay a dog log. They smell like biscuits and gravy spoiled, burnt bacon and pepper on top. Humans leave in total disgust. The second great power is taught by the great Houndini. You can make any human follow you anywhere you want. All you have to do is bite him, and he will run after you, shouting and swearing. Their favorite TV program is called Dog Chef. Last week he showed us how to make mongrel borscht. This week it's trash can stew. Here he is now. Hello, Mutz. Are you hungry again? Well, just trot through the house and into the garage and slip out through the mouse hole there and find the trash can. We will have to sort through the spices, which include an old slipper, a chewed up tennis ball, a fish head, and some leftover refried beans. Voila! And if you're thirsty, there's bottled toilet water, so you don't have to go to the toilet. For dessert, there is the pièce de résistance, poached eggs.
Great, Jules. Okay, Sarah May.
Hi. So this is a creative nonfiction piece, and disclaimer, like part of the title and an integral word to the piece violates the family friendly. So I'm just going to spell it, and hopefully that'll work. So this is called The Good, the Bad, and the Jack A-double-S. John Wayne taught me to fight. My father, however, taught me, sticks and stones may break my bones, but words will never hurt me. I objected. No, but it does hurt. You shouldn't say mean things to me. None of these kids should. I collapsed my folded elbows on the table in a huff, my chin resting on crossed wrists, scowling. We sat around the small kitchen table that straddled the divide between the coarse brown carpet of the living room and the beige vinyl of the alley kitchen, a single yellow bulb lighting our faces from above. My mother turned her almond eyes to my father, her dark olive face knit in concern. Because she had immigrated as an adult, her childhood experience was vastly different from mine, and so she deferred to his judgment. My father shrugged his freckly white shoulders. Tell those kids, he answered, that you were born in this country, and you're American, just like they are. Say that your dad is white. In second grade, I was a little girl in black pigtails and plastic frame glasses who played alone at recess. He was a little boy with brown hair and blue eyes, his puffy blue jacket contrasting with his pale complexion. The first time we had passed on the playground, his eyes lit up with such delight, I thought I finally had a friend. The boy laughed gleefully, and from then on, I had company every single afternoon recess. He was from a different class, so I didn't know his name, but he was certain mine was either Ching Ching China or Chink. He would run up, pulling his eyes back while babbling an imitation of Asian languages, and shout, "Go back to your country." I tried. I am not Chinese, I am Korean, and I was born in this country, so this is my country, but those arguments did nothing. I tried, "Go away," to which he would respond, "You go away to your country." I tried, "You're stupid." He would answer, "I know you are, but what am I?" "Sticks and stones," my father repeated each time I complained. I disagreed, but he follows me the whole recess. I can't make him stop, and he won't leave me alone. "Well, did you tell the teachers?" I had, several times. They only hushed me and sometimes walked away in the middle of my pleas. After all, it was 1992, and, according to my teachers, racism died in the 60s. "Well, sometimes you have to fight your own battles," my father replied. But the little boy remained undeterred in his torment no matter what tactics I used. Gradually, I stopped fighting and tried to continue with my recess activities. I slunk around the playground, swung on the swings, while my companion followed a few feet behind, shouting and making faces. I came to accept his constant taunting shadow as though he were my conscience on my shoulder, an internal voice who found everything about my heritage morally repulsive. This harassment went on for several weeks, until the night I met John Wayne. I woke with a burning thirst an hour or two after bedtime, and padded half asleep to the kitchen for a glass of water. The dark hall was cushioned with silence, and I was surprised by the glow of the television set in the living room and startled by the sound of a loud gunshot. A black and white John Wayne stood across from a crumpled figure, and with a derisive sneer he barked, "Jack A-double-S." Jack A-double-S. The word filled my ears and tingled my brain with awe. Jack A-double-S. It was an entirely new word for me, and I didn't really know what I meant, but damn did I like it. "Go to bed," said my dad, suddenly spotting me. I did, my eyes shining. I had a new weapon. Jack A-double-S. The next day at school, I could not wait for previously dreaded afternoon recess. I was excited to be called racial slurs. He reported, as usual, poor little dummy, with his usual litany. I didn't let him get very far. Legs spread in a crouch, both feet planted, and with a ricochet motion of my torso for the most sound projection, I bellowed in my best John Wayne impression, "Jack A-double-S!" I was nervous. Maybe my weapon wouldn't work. Would he know what a Jack A-double-S was? I didn't. Could you be hurt by words you didn't understand? Maybe he would simply say, "I know you are, but what am I?" The boy's chubby cheeks scrunched and his face crumpled in an explosion of tears. I was shocked. He had never reacted like that before. For a moment, I was concerned that I had badly hurt him, but on the heels of those two emotions was triumph. The sensation of power filled my chest as, bawling and wailing, he fled, right to the teacher. I was immediately surrounded by chastising women, where before they had looked at me with indifference, now they looked at me with dark judgment. The feeling of power deflated and sunk to the ground, coming to rest in a puddle at my feet. Oh, thank you.
Yeah. Come back and
Appreciate it.
okay?
Okay.
Thank you very much. And I think the President of the United States has said worse, and we probably would have let you get away with that one.
I wasn't sure.
It was my fault.
Appreciate
I like the
It was your fault?
spelling.
Oh, you made the call? No problem, you're the boss.
Yeah. Yeah.
The spelling kind of made it cool.
Yeah, you did it very well.
Yeah, that
I
kind
appreciate
of
that.
added something to
I think
it.
it added some.
Great. Okay, cool.
Thank you for the spelling bee.
Next up, Leslie. Leslie, are you still here?
I'm still here.
All right.
That's true. That's true.
Oh, Leslie.
I was like, yeah, you
There's the emotional connection to it.
I was on the last page. I was so close.
Oh, I'm so sorry.
No,
I
that's
wish
okay.
you'd expected. You probably would've-
Oh, really? Okay.
Thank you. Thank you for the opportunity. I've been inspired by a book called Hope on a Rope by John McCarthy. Not sure where to start. This is called Not All There. My life, it seemed like a curse, but you were there and waiting for me, and did not judge what you could not see. The meds they gave me kept me alive, but I tried and just could not stop. I cried and cried, but where was the cop? They did not help and just made it worse, but you were there and waiting for me, and did not judge what you could not see. But you could not help, and where was the cop? While I trusted that they would make it all stop. But justice was scarce for women like me, and all that I wanted was to be set free. This is called Unemployable. Unemployable but not disabled is what they said about me. Unemployable but not quite dead, don't you see? Unemployable is not a bad way to be. Unemployable, it's in my head, so I'm free. This is called Occupy Your Mind. Who is that crazy lady? Some kind of hippie chick, brain injured and shackled by the system of the medical nightmare. Tell you what I can. She's a midlife lady, anxious to meet you, but starving for justice, in a world that is fraught with chaos, disorder, and strife. She's a tired warrior in the field of danger, of the medical nightmare, and the pharmacy hell that's pulling her in. She's a runaway daughter of a Puerto Rican painter and a Coast Guard dad, lost in his servitude to the corporate world. She was lost to an idealist, a man who deserted but wanted her soul in the world that he knew, with the ones he could trust, But who is that crazy lady? You really can't know. Thanks. This is called TBI Alive. We are the walking wounded. We are the ones you see. We are your friends and neighbors. We are, so let us be. We are the walking wounded. We are the ones you see. We are your sons and daughters. We are, so let us be. This is called They Did Not Mean Well. Arrested Development arrested. Carted off and thrown in a cell. Shuffled in with others as well. Stripped of rights, unable to tell. Left to wait in a personal hell. The truth was, they did not mean well. I think that's it. Thanks for the inspiration. Thank you.
Thank you, Leslie.
You're welcome.
Thank you. All right, last but not
Thanks.
least, Sylvia, do you have that right?
Yeah.
Okay.
Wow, it's just an incredible experience to be here and to be sharing. I have this book. Asante helped me compile it, and then I would not let it be sold to anyone. I didn't even read it again myself. So I don't know what's going to happen right now. Okay. Oh, let's see. Sorry, I hate it when people do this, but I'm doing it just so you can't judge. All right. On this, the day I was born, 23 years later, gratefulness as in a prayer floats softly, dust particles and sun rays. Knowing the sacrifice when you opened your arms and they quietly rushed me away. Did I wail, Mama, or was I embraced in sleep? Since that day, life has been just as you wished for me, gentle, churning, a school of truths. How was it for you? Did you wail, Mama, when a pretty, bright, blue-eyed girl skipped by you in the park? Or were you embraced in the soothing shock of sleep state? No, I hope you had someone warm and sensitive to share your secret with. Someday, I know you'll share it with me. Sometimes I want more out of life. Tall mountains, bold white, layers and layers of snow. Sometimes I want more out of my world. Children all fed, no bombs hurled, forests that aren't dying. Myself, I can grow, but what I want to know, can the world learn to care instead of kill? There are mountains to climb, children to grow, sweet rain to wash our days. There's food aplenty if we would but push our pride out to sea. Take this butterfly, encased in glass, fragile, I hand it to you. Sing it into life. Flutter, fly round and round my world up and down, beauteous, shimmering, encased in glass. How long will this bird fly? My heart cares not, tomorrow I die. Tonight I dance round and round the fire of love. Awake with morning's light, angels wing upon my breast. I tuck your light deep, breathing crystals. This butterfly is free forever. Mother, you are these bones, this flesh and blood, all the veins, arteries, and muscles. You are these eyes, this mind, intellect, and memory. You are the spirit, the very temperament, shifting moods, and all desires. Mother, you are everything. You are internal forces that this form must obey. You are the intuition, the subtle heartstrings which hold sway. You are all the colors of emotions. You are the light illuminating every shadow, and the shadow at play. You are the creator of all. You are the sovereign queen, the only one I must obey. You compose all verse, the song, the cadence. You are the emanation of sound pouring forth from these lips. Lali Tambi Kiaye Mata Rani. On you I shall rely and lay full trust. No one, no other than you, O Queen, deserves this much. Mild Oregon rain weather, thick mellow mist that meshes with my enriched womb. Heavy sky waters, mirror of expansion within, gray richly layered clouds breathing with my child. The hands of our mother merge with a blanket cascading down, her green arms stretch with ecstasy. A breeze waves them about as milky fingers roll through the forest and swell my soul with peace. Who wrote these things?
Thank you, Sylvia. Next up, last but not least, Mr. Stephen Blue.
Yes.
It's all yours.
Okay, thank you. I'm going to do two pieces. The first one I don't think would go with music, but I think I'd like to try one with Asante and Sylvia again, because that was a lot of fun. So maybe on the second one? And nobody else has done one, so let's do that. All right, so this first one, next week I will turn 70. And I was thinking about getting older, and I wrote this. Countdown to eternity. Okay, yes, I'm old now. And I know that because I think about the things I can't do anymore. Doing front flips and back flips off the edge of a swimming pool. Running up and down stairs without thinking. Jumping up on a cement wall to walk along its edge. Climbing up a tree to the very top. And I think about the things I can't do very well anymore. Multitasking and remembering things without a list. I have lost the oiliness in my skin, so everything slips through my fingers, especially pills. And I take a lot of pills now. That's another thing. So I hunt for them on the floor after dropping them. And my toes cramp up at everything. Putting on shoes, taking off shoes, or just relaxing on the couch at night. I can't kneel down on my knees for very long without them hurting. So I need a large knee pad to do that now. Especially when I am building our fire at night. So yeah, I guess I'm old now, but I don't feel old inside. All right, thank you. How about the cello and the guitar? I think that would be fun. All right. So, oh, Charles, can you check the shot on this?
Sir.
Thank you. And I'll get in, maybe get in the middle here.
You look beautiful.
Are we all good? Okay, this is called Woven in Starlight. The esoteric essence of the eclectic divine propagated into prime time, written on the wind, blown with battle-scarred chimes. You can see it in the distance with the metaphysical rhymes, given with the spirit that was granted by the muse. Maybe it's the common denominator needed to infuse in the momentary mentioning of the disproportionate view slumbered on the lower realms they never brought to you. Is it just a hologram shadow? Was it here or did it fall? What became of the sparkling brilliance clamoring down the hall? The innovative anecdotes of the ecumenical sun calling out to heathen heroes, the healing has begun. Lumber on the brooding matriarch, clothed in lavender bloom, sent to the rivers, woven in starlight, to flow away the gloom of business without expression, the subtlest sacred force of the splintering reams of binding measure following its course. Down to the sphere of the swirling renown, down to the boldness of spiritual ground, down to the thunder commanding your ears, down to the dreams that called out through the years, down and down and down and down, down and down you go, into the depths of the magic expression your keen inner notions know, into the middle of modern proclaim, the rainbow rebellion will show, into the magic, into the mystic, into the clouds it will go. Of course, you'll need the music to bring about the change. Otherwise, you'll always wonder and only think it's strange. Yes, you'll always need the music to bring about the beat. Otherwise, you'll always wonder and never be complete. Oh, thank you, thank you. That was fun, that's a lot of fun. You guys are great. So, to close out our event today, I'd like to bring each of our features up again for a few minutes. So, Kay, do you have something else you'd like to share for 3 or 4 minutes?
I forgot you were gonna bring us up again, and I didn't pick
Oh,
up anything.
is that okay? All right, okay, well, how about Sylvia and Asante? Would you like to play a number to take us out?
Yeah.
All right. So once again, Lotus unfolding.
So I was reading a lot of Don Juan, Carlos Castaneda stuff, and this is about a musical picture of like what I think it might be like when my soul leaves the body and has one last dance upon the earth, and it's called Margaret's Soul. Wait, hold on, I gotta think of it. Where we go? Margaret's soul flies with the wind, making circles as it soars, takes adrift and floats away, off towards fog-lined shores. Dragon of the sky, she fans her colors, across the waves come sunset, and the music's rolling in dense fog, and the music's rolling in dense fog. Margaret's soul flies with the night, searching here, calling there, then song wailing from the rocks. Will you meet her here? A dragon of the sky, she fans her colors, across the waves come sunset, and the music's rolling in dense fog, and the music's rolling in dense fog. The music's rolling.